My name is Konstantin Federitz, and speaking of craft, we are talking to Chris Ploof, the founder of Chris Ploof Design. And typically, I would start with how it's all begun, but this time I want to congratulate you on the big award, the luxury lifestyle award for 2025 in fine jewelry or luxury jewelry.
Yeah, I was, I'm still, you say it and I laugh a little bit. I always want to look behind me and be like, who are you talking to? Who won this
Who's
award?
that
Because we
guy?
didn't win this award. Yeah. No, it's my imposter syndrome, sure enough. Yeah, it was the 2025 Luxury Lifestyles Best Luxury Jewelry in the USA.
Great,
So,
congratulations.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, just like I said, I'm not really that it still has not settled in yet.
Okay, that's good.
It never will, which is also good, I think.
That's
in
good.
some
If
ways.
it's not settling yet, it means you want to move on
Well, it's
forward. Do you
we're-
need a block somewhere
so we're-
behind
no, there's the I have the work hard and stay humble. I don't know where it is. It's not hanging up in here now.
you? Okay,
But,
no more.
but yeah, that's the important thing, right? Yeah, I don't. It was a big surprise.
No, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's been how many years coming?
A long time. So I started the late '90s making. I've always made things my whole life. As a kid, whatever, just
Hmm.
whether it's Legos or actually making something. But jewelry now since the late '90s when I went back to school after I got out of the army, and then it's been my full-time job since about 2004 or five now, which is also
Okay.
shocking. 20 years. It's crazy.
That's
So I'm pretty lucky. I
That's
get to
an
make things for
achievement.
20 years,
Yes.
and it pays the bills. So it's yeah.
so school. Where did you grow up?
I grew up one town south of here, actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
Sterling,
you
Mass.
You've
Yeah.
always been.
I've lived a lot of places and around the country, from the West Coast to Tennessee to, just a bunch of different places. And, but this is back, this is home.
Mhm.
So I still have family in the area. And, we live in a little city called Worcester, the gritty city
Okay.
of Worcester. But
Okay. Okay. So, because I know you're from Providence, and
Yeah.
it's been a while. How long before you moved to Providence? Because you already had kind of established shop there.
yeah, let's see. So we were saying it was about 12 years, and we spent 3 or 4 years in Providence. I think I was there in like 2009. So yeah, I mean, I've been doing this full time for 4 or 5 years before we moved to Providence, but I was working out of, sort of an ideal thing. You don't realize it till later, a home shop, so you could just go downstairs, and
Yep.
it's also a bad thing because you just go downstairs and you're always working and, never stopping. So we, decided to try, something a little different and get space. And I mean, I think all that really led us to do is to fill it with piles of stuff. So we have plenty of tools. And let's see, we moved up here probably about it was like 2013, I think, about 12 years ago. We decided to locate up here to Leominster, to Central Mass. We already had a house up here as well, not too far from here. So we just got back to the basics, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's quite basics.
Yeah.
It's very basic production here. Yes, I can see that. We'll show some of the things you have here. But let's circle back to the award. It's a big thing. It's a big achievement. You were going towards it, or you weren't going towards it. It's up to you how you want to proceed. But how does it change what you do right now?
It hasn't changed it much. I'm going to be really honest with you. Other than like I said, constantly having to turn around because people congratulate me. I'm like, who are you talking to? Oh yeah, that's right, we won this thing. I think it's back to what you said. Were you going towards it, or you're not going towards it? And I'd like to think that no, we're never going towards that award. But yeah, we go towards it every day. I mean, it's one of my big things is if I'm not doing it better today than I was doing it yesterday, well, then I should probably go home. It probably means I'm sick and I need to
Yes.
take some time off. I mean, we always, and it's a constant quest to be better, whether it's a better design, or whether it's a better execution, or whether it's a better kind of metal or whatever,
Mhm.
So, I mean, I guess I've been working for it my whole life, but I always will be,
That's good.
it kind of is meaningless because, we won this. It's not meaningless. I shouldn't say that's terrible. we won this award a few months ago, but we're already still striving to do things that are bigger and better. The sample that I showed you earlier,
Yes.
I mean, it's, we always, you have to, somebody said to me once, he said, he equated it to driving on a highway. And he said, I don't really like to see taillights ahead of me because it means I'm falling behind. And he said, what I really like to do is I like to look in my rearview mirror and see just really distant headlights behind us. And that's sort of kind of where my brain goes. And I'm always looking in the rearview mirror. There's always other people doing wonderful, beautiful things. And there's room for that, frankly. I mean, there needs to be more people making with their hands, and doing things. But I think that, for us, I like to just see those headlights kind of far behind. And that's what we always work towards. So we push really hard.
So what makes you push it?
The fact that I have a mortgage and a car payment. No,
besides that, it started without the mortgage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it's a real. For me, I fell into this, right? It was super, super simple. I took a class in lost wax casting. Mm-hmm. I was not thinking about jewelry, but it was a jewelry class. I was thinking about making larger parts and sand casting and everything. And in this class, I had to make jewelry, and I made, this first wonderful ring that probably weighed 6 pounds, was the ugliest ring on the planet, this big giant hunk of ugly silver. But I was like, this is it. I'm home. That was it. It was done. I was like, I can actually make things. And then, to take it even sort of a little bit further. I mean, what we do is, is something that I take very seriously. I mean, we make very important rings for very important people, and it's, someone's trusting me to make their wedding ring or their engagement ring, and it's something they're going to wear for the rest of their life. It's pretty serious. So, you get to make cool things, and you get to be a really important part of somebody's, life. So for me, it's, I mean, like I said, I fell in love with it, and I'm just going to keep doing it. This is it, Okay. Plus, I don't think I'm hireable by anyone else at this point. I would be a terrible employee is my other big fear. So,
you've been doing it for so long that you're going to be, overpowering force of any company, and eventually it's sorry, we have to part ways.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just keep doing this. It's easier.
And you're sort of a boss of yourself.
Yeah.
So you're driving yourself, you're your own slaver and your own slave.
Exactly. I mean, the way that I look at it is at least, all the mistakes I make are mine, all the decisions I make are mine, and I don't have to ask anybody's permission. Well, that's not true. I think Anne would probably argue that I should ask about some things, but no, it's a great way to make a living, to be able to, again, work with your hands to think of things, and then to have those things kind of spill out of you is neat. I mean, there's a superb book, Shop Class as Soulcraft, Matthew Crawford, and he paraphrases it. It's well worth reading. He now restores antique motorcycles, but he started his business in like a 5x8 storage unit downstairs in his building in New York City, and he was, at the end of the day, his whole premise is we're designed to make things. At the end of the day, he'd stare at a computer screen all day long, type, and he'd be like, so what do I have to show for my day? Eye strain. And
the creative part is a part of the, if you look at the Bible, it's a part of what the likeness of creator in us. So it's always in us. It's always, and when you're creating, you certainly have the fulfillment out of it.
Yeah.
And it seems like you still do. Very
much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even really, I think about it when you ask me questions about it, but I don't even think about it. I show up, I do work, I go home, I start to do CAD sketching, and I'm like, no, I should probably stop working for a few minutes, so, but, it's always, it's never want to miss an idea. I'm always afraid, I'm like, if I have an idea, I better write it down. I better do this, something. So, but.
So this, obviously kind of circling back to award, but award as being a highest point, what's your, let's say, lowest point when you were almost saying, you know what, I'm done? Was there ever that? Because
I mean, COVID sucked, right? Like, obviously that's not easy when you're a small business owner. But I'll be really unvarnished, and I'll tell you, I have those thoughts a lot. sometimes, and not even sometimes. I have those thoughts a lot. And what it really comes around is it's just bad day thoughts, and then I'm pretty quickly to reverse it. I mean, last week was a terrible week for equipment breaking in the shop. And I'm like, F this, I'm done, sort of. But at the same time, it's also can just be, getting beaten up by one of my retailers, or trying to execute something and it's not working, So, I mean, I guess I have those thoughts, pretty often, but I guess having the thought and acting on it is two different things, So, for me, it just helps when I hit that moment, I need to take a step back, take a little cleaner look at things, take a deep breath, maybe go for a mountain bike ride, whatever. But, I think it's natural if you achieve at a high level to probably hit brick walls and have those thoughts. And that's what it, feels like for us. I mean, I'm not saying that we're achieving at a high level, but we're trying to achieve at a high level. So, but yeah,
it's a constant striving, but at some point you do achieve certain plateau, and then you're trying to hike another. And so it's a constant thing. It's like a Japanese tradition of do. It's a way. It's not the end result. Right. I understand what you're saying. You're constantly just moving forward.
Well, the mistakes are great. I learn twice, 3 times as much from a mistake as I do from success, maybe 10 times more. Yeah. I mean, I've never really thought about that at Qualify, but I mean, I know that my mistakes are super important. I surround myself with them. So
today's mistake is tomorrow something that you look at and you say, oh, we can use this here and we can start building something on top of that.
Yeah, and I think this is a good time for me to explain. It's why my bench looks like this, because we always have these little pieces and parts hanging around. Little things that we can do work with, and what do we want to play with next? So yeah, I think mistakes are super important. Like I said, yeah, I have several of them surrounding me. So
they don't look like mistakes. Some of this stuff look polished.
Well, for a few days they might, or a few years, or a few months even. But then, like you said, one day you're lucky enough, you look at it, you're like, ahoy, So it's this is something good. So it's. But yeah, I definitely have bad days and good days, I guess is a long way of answering your question. So.
And what do you do to take your mind off? I know you ride mountain bikes. What else do you do? What's your just little that nipple that takes the steam out?
Yeah. Probably a good cocktail after work usually helps. So it's my release valve, I think, is just, I know when I'm getting crazy. I mean, I don't want to say, I don't know, crazy or whatever you want to call it. I know when I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't how you react. Like, take a step back, look at this from a different perspective. Mountain biking for sure is a good one. Just getting away from it or doing something different. I mentioned doing CAD at home. I have a piece of software I absolutely love, that a couple pieces of software. I mean, the iPad Pro has become an incredibly important tool for me. So if I just say I'm forging something and it's not working, I'm just going to put it down. I'm going to walk away, and I might pick up the iPad and I might sketch a new design, or I might work on a design in CAD that I've been working on for a while or something. It's change the channel, I guess is the way to put it. I mean, we're still watching the program, but it's just changing the channel.
Yes, changing the occupation and
yeah. I mean,
okay.
I mean, honestly, if I'm downstairs, sometimes I pick up a broom and I sweep the floor, because God knows that doesn't get done
that's
often
the best
enough.
Relaxation ever.
Yeah, but it's just exactly. It's but for me, it's just you just sort of change that channel.
Cool. Okay. So when you started this, so you said from that big ugly ring, you decided to do that. How fast did it become a business? How fast did it become something that you invested 100% into?
It's my start is I'll go back a little bit to the beginning. It happened both quickly and really slowly. I mean, I think I started in 1997 or so. I went to the School for Professional Crafts at Worcester Center for Crafts. It's now.
And how old were you?
I was 27-ish. So I went to that program, and really pretty quickly realized that my goals didn't align with that program's goals. I was using my GI Bill and I was learning lots of things, but it was definitely more of an, I didn't say this correctly. It wasn't a place where I was going to learn how to make fine jewelry. I could learn how to make jewelry, but I was going to be learning to make more like, art jewelry, like bigger cuffs, or things like that, and I wanted to make sure I could set diamonds and I could, do beautiful work, because I really kind of realized that's where the money is after going to a lot of craft shows and things. So I actually left that program after a year. I didn't come back for the second year, and went for it. And I had a little shop in, my ex-wife's grandfather's basement. He lived in this tiny, 4-room house, one of those little, 800 square foot. So I was just down there with the furnace and, the sump pump and the flooding water when we got too much rain. And I worked also part-time for a jeweler and picked up a lot of things there. But really pretty quickly, I learned that I needed to branch out even further than that. So a lot of workshops with people quickly. And I did something else. This is something that I like to tell people. Every time I was buying a tool from like Rio Grande or Guess Wine or something, I bought a book and I read the book. And that's why there's that huge library in the other room. So really self-taught. But I mean, I was making money doing this, a couple of years after I started. So, 99, 2000, I wasn't making enough money till like 2004 or 5. So when I read around there, when I left the bicycle industry, I was working part-time in the bicycle industry or full-time in the bicycle industry this whole time. But then it became its own ugly thing. So, so I guess it took me 5 or 6 years to have this be my full-time vocation. But it took a year to start, selling some really ugly jewelry. So, luckily, like I said, everything gets better every day. So, and it's not really ugly. If you're one of the customers from back then, thank you. So it's really beautiful. But no, we get better at what we do all the time. And that's really more what I'm referencing, I should say. I should put it that way. But so yeah, it's about 5 or 6 years, it was to really.
And then you just went 100%. And only that.
Well, mortgage and car payment, man, like I said. And occasionally I like to go out for sushi. So, you've got to have a little bit of income.
Yes.
So, yeah. I mean, and I think I was doing some blacksmithing for Civil War reenactors, probably even before I went to, actually it was before I went to the craft center. I had built a blacksmith forge with an old hairdryer and a 55-gallon drum. And I had anvil that we still have in the other room, and I actually literally am looking at a tent stake right here, which is probably one of the tent stakes that I forged over there on top of a cabinet, but so I was doing stuff, but not really successful till 2004 or 5.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't even know if I'm successful now. So
oh, stop.
We'll see.
Stop.
I mean, it's all right.
Let's establish something. You are.
Yeah, we'll see.
You've been doing it for so long. You are. It's not about.
I'm an antique at it at this point.
we're all sort of antiques. So that drive is coming from a child, from your childhood. You always been tinkering with things. You always
always taking apart and tinkering with things. Massive pile of Legos, like not like a little one, but like we even had like the big thing with a drawstring on it because we had so many Legos. It was like Santa's Christmas sack. We would always be playing with Legos and Tinker Toys and what are the log cabin ones called? Legos, Tinker Toys, Lincoln Logs.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Stuff like that, and just always like the different building kits, I mean, before STEM was a thing and we called it STEM, having a mom who was a math teacher and also a computer science teacher. She was the first computer science teacher in the city of Worcester. It really had a profound effect, and we were always, we're just always busy kids. We were either playing outside or, or playing with Legos if it was a rainy day or, and I've just always been interested in building and making, we were making wooden swords that we would carve and beat each other half to death with, it just was all this garbage can lid shields,
Yes.
Actually, we were even making shields. We were painting plywood and using like screws and clothesline to, it was so always making.
That's the beauty of a childhood. You imagine things, you build things.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, comes from both my grandfathers too. My dad's dad was a home builder in the Brookfield area, Brookfields. So you literally, you go to grandma and grandpa's, and he had a wood shop, and he'd usually get there and he was working in it. I mean, there's a chest of drawers downstairs that he made for me. There's, all sorts of wonderful things like that. So as a kid, there was always that smell of sawdust and scrap wood hanging around, which is just one of the, the best smells on the planet. So I think that, I definitely got it from there. And then my mom's dad, we just say my man Pepe, they were in Ware, Mass. He was the superintendent of Ware Mills, a huge, huge mill complex. And also taught me how to fly a remote-controlled airplane. So he was, he'd come home and he'd build airplanes. I mean, he was even building like radios. He was one of the first RCA television repairmen. So I think I get it. I come by it pretty honestly. It trickles down through.
So there's a lineage.
It's in the blood. Yeah, it's in the blood. Yep.
Okay. And were you a bookish kid, or you just?
Yep. Love to read. Oh. Yeah, love to read, but also love to be outside, getting skinned knees and skinned elbows, and I probably should have realized I'd be joining the military, because one of our favorite things would be to go out and play Army, and that was back in the days when, by 7:30 your friend's getting dropped off, or 8, and you've got a little P-38 can opener and a thing of SpaghettiOs and your toy guns, and you just, canteen, and you just go out for the, for the day, be home by 5, now it's like you can't chase kids outside, but no, for us it was, we were out doing that, or like I said, building forts, tree forts, digging holes, and so we were always doing.
What branch of military
stuff.
Did you go to?
The Army.
Okay.
Yep.
And any specialty, or you just?
No, I wasn't that special. Okay. So yeah, got to visit Panama, got to visit the Gulf, so bounced around a little bit here and there, but it was. By and large, I have all my digits and all my parts, which is good. So,
that's good.
Yeah, and actually was important for teaching me direction and discipline. I think that it's also very helpful now, on those days when things don't go right. It's like, plus taught me some really key words that I can use when things don't go right that are really excellent. My vocabulary is extreme.
I hope you're not using it on everybody, just on yourself.
No, just on myself. No. I don't. I'm a demanding, about quality driven boss, but I'd like to think I'm a pretty good guy to work for. I mean, we have a 4-day work week here. We have 401k and profit sharing and health, and we actually even pay people. So
you do.
Free electric car charging too. Thank you, solar. So yeah. So we're yeah.
A little bit about materials, because you work with this very interesting way of it's not just one material, silver or gold, but how did you come to Mokume? How did you come to that?
Yeah, that's pretty easy. So at the Worcester Center for Crafts, there was a video there that, VHS video, God, that was really bad and really grainy. This guy, Steve Midget, though, talking about how to make Mokume, and it was like, and then I found out he had a book, and I bought his book, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting, and I started to, I like to say I made my first billets of Mokume gane in 1998. I made my first good billets in about 2002. So it's really demanding. And I think why I went after it so hard is I like a challenge too. That's also part of the things that drives me is this next challenge, the next mountain to climb up. So I just started to mess with that a lot. And it's, obviously proven to be something that it's not only technically demanding, but it's also technically demanding to make jewelry out of it. So we're really lucky. I'm a process improvement nerd too. I mean, I'm a metals nerd is what I really am, but process improvement. So we kind of keep improving our process and keep changing the way we might do things. But I just, for me, the other aside to that is when I was apprenticing at that jewelry store, they carried George Sawyer, he was an early practitioner of Mokume, but he did a lot with solder, bonded laminates, and not just using science to stick things together. We don't use any solder, any glue. It's all done atomically, diffusion bond. But I saw some of those rings, and they're just beautiful. I mean, you look at a ring like that, as you well know, and I see wood grain. I mean, you might not see wood grain because of what you do, but for me,
it's one of the things that caught me right away. And remember, I did buy one.
Yes, no, I absolutely no, a very special one.
Yes.
But yeah, I love the way it looks, and I love how difficult it is to do, which Maybe sounds stupid, but yeah. And the Damascus was just sort of a fall in after that. We were already playing with Mokume, and I had bought some other Damascus from, a few other companies, and, Damascus for knives is great, but even if it's stainless steel Damascus for a knife, it's a martensitic Damascus, so it can, you can heat treat it, you can sharpen it. We don't use that because it will rust, even if it's properly heat treated. We use the 3 Series Damascus, and there was not a lot of that out there. So finally, just one day, we were talking a little bit off camera earlier about sole authorship. I said, okay, I could get 1 pattern of Damascus or 2 patterns of Damascus. I want 8. How do I get 8 patterns of Damascus? I'm like, oh crap, I have to now learn how to make Damascus, So it's sort of this whole thing, cascades, it's this ripple effect. So the Mokume wasn't hard enough, so we bought power hammers and we stick together steel now, so, but yeah, it's just, it's again, a beautiful pattern material, for me, it's the magic is the pattern.
And how do you, obviously there's certain materials that can complement other materials. How do you find which one connect to, because some of this stuff is out there.
Remember I said I make mistakes earlier, and I learn a lot from them. I just make mistakes.
Okay.
No, we'll literally, we're pretty much to the point now, and I say this a little tongue in cheek, where I can stick any metal to any other metal. Now, look, not mercury, not sodium, not uranium, let's be realistic here. But I can stick any 2 metals together. The problem is what happens when you try to manipulate those metals, because we have to do at least a 90% or so reduction from what we start with to get to something usable. I had we made I made the comment to you earlier about, for 20 years I wanted to do a certain thing. I'm not going to say what the project is, but what I really needed to do it was round Mokume gane wire. And I had tried unsuccessfully for years until about a month ago, just sort of had this thought. I was like, wait a minute, what if we did it this way and round Mokume wire? So, I made mistakes, but I figure out which metals pretty quickly I can manipulate, and those are the ones we stay working with. We don't try and reinvent the wheel, But there's a lot of combinations that I wish I could do. That just again, once you start to, do that further manipulation to it, all goes out the window quickly. Hey, can someone put that fire out over there? It's kind of what it feels like some days, but
Oh, your stuff is definitely cool. For someone who wants to start doing the jewelry, and you're not very traditional per se jeweler, you are within that, but what would your recommendation be?
I'd go for it. Don't wait. I'm not really. There's a Ira Glass, who's sometimes on NPR, is a great quote about it. It's something to the effect of, the biggest impediment about getting started is getting started, and it's because we're wired. We look at what we make, and I'm like, wow, that's a really ugly, 6-pound silver ring that I made in this class. Thank God my wiring allowed me to look at that ring and realize that there was another ring behind it and another ring behind it and another ring behind it. And I think that's really what it comes down to. You need to go for it, because only then can you start to make the mistakes that get you better, and then you can start looking at what you want to have. And as Ira Glass tells the story, he said, and he said, how I know this? He said, because it took me years to figure this out. I was as bad as everyone else with riding with everything. I just couldn't get it to go. So it's just this, really beautiful quote. I think you've got to go for it, and if you want more direct answer than that, look around. There's little jewelry, metalsmithing schools around the country. If you're local in New England and you're hearing this, there's North Bennett Street School occasionally has workshops. There's Metalworks in Waltham, which is incredible. There's some blacksmithing and knife making up in Maine. There's just, and I'm not even saying things like RISD, but there's so many places where you can go. And the other thing is, it goes back to buy that book and read that book. Buy the book, not just to look good on your shelf. Buy the book and read it, and again, just go for it. Try it. What's the worst thing that happens?
You'll make something.
Can someone put that fire out over there? Yeah, that's really.
You'll make something.
Yeah,
that's the worst that can happen.
Yeah,
and then it grows into something else.
I see people who do, even like starting with wire wrapping is your most basic jewelry with crystals. And I see people that they make a living doing that. These beautiful wire wraps with multicolor wire and these tight spirals and everything. I can't do that. I would never try that. I look like a giant mess. There's my problem. I just need to go for it. But No, but I think even the most simply made things, even polymer clay, Fimo clay, I mean, it's not a high art element as far as I'm concerned, but there are people making beautiful things with it that would tell me I'm full of crap, that I don't know what I'm talking about. Silver clay, but just go for it. You got to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Shed the
that's
fear, jump in, learn to swim with the sharks.
that's a good advice. That's a good advice. I've heard in the previous talk you had with someone that you were talking about the sustainability, and I know you have 100% electrically sustained. And uh, what else, as far as materials and
Yeah.
recycling and other things, what else do you guys do?
So we use our two suppliers that we buy our precious metals from use recycled metals, recycled precious metals. So it's really great. So our precious metals are recycled. Stainless steel that we use in our Damascus is over 70, I think it's about 74 to 78% recycled. Here's the thing, that's true all stainless steel. It's one of the most recyclable materials on the planet. A lot like aluminum, you can
Hmm.
recycle and use, ad nauseum. We, certainly try and do the right things for the environment, by our chemical choices. We've cut out some of the more dangerous chemicals in the jewelry industry. Our pickle, for example, which is what when you solder something, you put it in there and it breaks the flux up off of it. We just use
Hmm.
citric acid,
Hmm.
food grade of citric acid. In our ultrasonic cleaners, we use just a lab detergent called Alkanox. We're trying to make some really good choices. I mentioned to you earlier, we just found this new box company that was a bargain in Denmark, and they're using a low VOC foam, and then and their printing inks are soy based, and the boxes are beautiful too. I mean, this really nice boxes at a great price, and we also, you probably didn't even notice them, these big ugly cardboard boxes that we have in the office. We actually work with a company that we buy boxes from that's a big recycling solutions company. So like we recycle plastic film here. It's
Hmm.
like plastic bags and things like this. We actually
Hmm.
we can do our own recycling here. With those we recycle our nitrile gloves the same
Hmm.
way. Our packaging material, as you said, solar powered. When we ship things out, we don't use plastic tape on it anymore, and we've really cut down the amount of packaging that we use. We just try and be really careful. We share this. We share this planet, all of us do, and it's so discouraging to me, to see trash on the side of the streets and just a mess. So we always just try to do. I'm just try to do the right thing and try to keep
No,
it going a little longer.
thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean it's
Thank you for putting an
it's
effort. It's a
yeah,
big effort
it's
to
important.
keep on top of it.
Yeah.
It's easier to throw something out than just forget it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, we garden at home too, and so we're even, pretty cognizant at home about what we do. Is well, of course we are. I mean, but it's even things like food waste. We try not to waste things. I mean, I don't like being wasteful. You know,
So you work in the luxury industry.
somehow
You've cut your bones in it. And what's luxury for you?
luxury for me is a Friday off right now. Luxury for me, that's a really good question. I mean, I'm only part joking when I say, a Friday off, or Friday at
No,
the beach,
it's
a week in
yes.
Provincetown in the summer, but in terms of luxury goods and everything, for me, I think what really defines it is just, and I'm going to start with craftsmanship is what I was going to say, or craftspersonship, with the art, the maker. It's quality of work, and then it's a quality of materials, which follows right behind it. And I think that that might seem like a really easy answer, but I like high carat golds. I mean, we do use some 14 karat golds here, and we mainly do it for Mokume for color, because 14
Hmm.
karat red is darker than 18 karat red, for example, or 18 karat yellow is more yellow than 14 karat yellow. But if we're just going to fabricate something, a ring, we do it with, my choice is 18K and higher, because to me that's, sort of more luxurious, and then, very high quality diamonds. I mean, if we're going to buy a diamond, we don't buy junk, and, in this harkens back to the sustainability a bit too. We know our sources and our suppliers for colored stones. We just start with quality good. Start with a quality, stone or material. I think
Hmm.
is really.
And what is that personally, your personal item that you consider the most luxurious?
Probably one of my mountain bikes. I have several, but honestly, from my time working in the bike industry, I understand why some bicycles cost a lot of money.
Does it weigh a pound?
And no, weighs a little bit more than that. But I have a very light full suspension mountain bike that's carbon fiber and high end parts and electronic shifting, and it even has electronic suspension that measures the ground, and it's got accelerometers built into the bike, so it's constantly adjusting the suspension. That's probably my most luxurious good. There's the watch we talked about a little bit
Hmm.
earlier. I have a special watch that was made with our Damascus. And then, probably all the cooking appliances we have outside. I love to cook. That's another great stress reliever for me too. But we have a really great pizza oven outside. That's like these aren't expensive things necessarily,
No,
but
they
it's my
don't have to be
luxury good.
expensive.
It's
That's
yeah, it's
yeah. The idea of, because right now everybody's talking about luxury, 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 and that's why I wanted to ask you, because it doesn't have to be expensive. It's just
yeah.
something that really makes your life different.
Yeah, we did a lot of landscaping the year before COVID, luckily, and our backyard sort of became the de facto hangout spot for our close group of friends. Say, like, the circle of 10 or a dozen that we all have, the chosen family or family, friend family, we got a wood-fired Argentinian grill, and we got a pizza oven, as I said, and we have a flat top, and we have a smoker. And I think for me, that whole backyard is a little bit of luxury. We pieced it together over time. We did some beautiful landscaping. We have plants in there that we want. We have a couple small water features. But a big luxury thing for me is having that backyard with those 10 or 12 friends in it too. That's real good time, and it's also real good anti-stress, good celebration time. But I think luxury for me is the ability to host those little gatherings in our backyard too, for sure. Yeah.
Oh,
See, I had to think about it a little bit,
good.
but I got there. I got there. I got there. So
I'm just gonna probably start winding down,
yeah.
and we have a few rapid questions, and
Okay.
however you want to do it, you want to do it in the short format or longer format, it's up to you. What's the most important skill to be a jeweler?
You got to be able to see. Invest in microscopes, invest in optivisors. If you can't see it well, you can't make it well. Yep.
Okay,
That and more tools.
so the eyesight
All the tools.
and all the
And
tools.
these are pretty important too, and tools.
Do you have a habit that fuels your drive, it fuels your life?
A habit that fuels my drive. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I still love what I do. I like getting up and I like coming to work. So I mean, I think I'm a bit of a creature of habit with that. I love, as I mentioned, sort of the design and creating outside hours. So it's just getting up and getting moving, in the morning. Yeah.
What kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind,
Oh
whether
man.
tangible or not?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm going to be dead, and they're not going to know whose signature this is in any of these rings, and it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, my legacy, I think what's important for me is knowing that a wedding ring or an engagement ring that I made 20 years ago could potentially be being worn by a son or a daughter, or a grandson or granddaughter, or great grandson or great granddaughter. That's my legacy, is what we leave behind that helped people be happily, not that the rings help people be happily married, but the symbol of this happy marriage, and sometimes unhappy marriage, but there's always discord. But I think that's the legacy, is making something good enough that it can be handed down. It doesn't need to be in a museum for me, that's not important, but just it needs to be around for a few generations.
Okay. I think we can wrap up at that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our talk.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks for coming up. It
Chris.
was great.
It's
I mean, it was a
been a
lot of fun.
pleasure. Oh, great. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
ChrisPloof.com with a
We'll put it in the.